This is a government-sanctioned seizure of children that should not have been taken out of a home, and now the death of a sweet little boy who was perfectly healthy before they took him away.
A mother in Harker Heights is taking legal action against CPS in Texas after she says that her son died while in their care from respiratory issues. In-depth reporter Alicia Nespresso tells us why she says he should have never been there in the first place.
When children are brought to Child Protective Services, one might assume they would be protected and safe. But that was not the experience Leah Joseph's family had when her sons were taken away in September of 2022.
My baby, he told me that all the babies was sick with bumps all over their faces.
Joseph's 6 children were removed from her home after an anonymous tip reported her for violence and drug use. Despite passing numerous drug tests, she said her kids were still taken to live at the Garden of Hope, Central Texas.
I definitely believe the place was filthy because my 13-year-old, at the time, I had bought him some Jordans, and I was going to bring it to him, and he said, "Mom, don't bring it. This place is too dirty for Jordans."
The boys were at the facility for just over 6 weeks when she was told her youngest had passed away.
I fell out to the ground, and then when I opened my eyes back up, she was standing over me saying, "Miss Joseph, Miss Joseph." And my boyfriend, he had helped me up off the ground. And I'm like, "What are you doing? What are you talking about?"
The news came as a complete shock. According to 2-year-old Panash's examination prior to entering the facility, he had no ongoing medical issues and was reported to be healthy and developing appropriately.
There's something wrong when the government can come into a person's home and drag their children out based on an anonymous phone call when they're healthy children, no broken bones, no marks on their bodies, and they're just taken away for months until one of them dies, and then they suddenly just close an investigation and drop it.
Joseph is working with the Vic Fizell Law Office to bring justice for Panache. The two filed a wrongful death claim and sent a settlement demand to the facility.
Our goal here is to compensate this sweet lady and her children for their loss of this sweet little brother. And we also would like to see some changes made so that this does not happen to other people.
The mother says she believes neglect played a role in her son's death. One of her other children said the last time he saw his brother alive, he was not being taken care of.
My 14-year-old, he was awakened at 3 o'clock in the morning by the sound of Panache screaming. And he made it all the way from one side, the teenager side, to the baby side of the facility. And he was in there with my baby for about 20 minutes before anybody even came who worked there.
The family is devastated at the situation, and Joseph hopes to prevent anyone else from losing a sweet and caring child with so much life left to live.
He liked the Ninja Turtles. I believe he thought that him and his brothers were Ninja Turtles.
And as her little turtle lays to rest, Joseph will continue to fight for justice.
I don't want another child dying from this. Like, it's very hard for me every day still. Like, his birthday is August the 5th, and he won't even be able to turn 3.
In Harker Heights, Alicia Nespresso, 25 News.
That was my first grandchild, and that was like another child to me.
Kinsley. 9-month-old Kinsley Evans had her grandma's heart.
Kinsley was a happy baby. She was smart. She was happy.
Monday morning, Asia Nelson got a call to rush to Sinai Grace Hospital that Kinsley was dead. Sources close to the investigation say the infant had signs of abuse. This family says they've been trying to get the baby back from her biological father since Memorial Day. His visit was only supposed to be a couple of hours. The last known place Kinsley was alive was this apartment off Schaefer Highway near 96 on Detroit's west side.
When we tried to go get her, he said, "I'm not giving her back to y'all."
Asia and her daughter Keandra Irving say they contacted Detroit police this month to do a welfare check on the baby. At least once, officers did view Kinsley at the Schaefer Highway apartment and reported she appeared fine. Asia says they tried to get Children's Protective Services involved and petition the 36th District Court to get her back, but not in time.
I screamed for help. I screamed for help over and over. I did it the right way. We did it the right way.
Even though sources say Kinsley's body did have signs of abuse, at this point, no one has been charged and there is no cause of death.
The examiners told us it would be 6 months before we even would know what the cause of death would be.
We reached out to the Wayne County Medical Examiner's office. They did not have information to release. Reporting on Detroit's West Side, Jessica Dupnack, Fox 2 News.
Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. So I played those two videos to give you guys an idea of what we'll be talking about tonight. The first one was showing that a child had lost his life in the custody of CPS, Child Protective Services. And the second one was showing the neglect of a situation where Child Protective Services should have stepped in and they did not. Just to prove to you that this corporation is very untrustworthy, okay? This document here is from Kentucky State Legislator. This is the laws in Kentucky. So if you live in Kentucky, this is a bit frightening. But I'm going to briefly read through it. And if you would like to get a copy of this, you can send me an email and ask for the Kentucky registration of birth document. When you ask for it that way, Kentucky registration of birth document, so I can know what you're talking about in the subject of the email, and I will send it over to you. But this is how the rights of the people are taken away. Now, this is section registration of birth required, establishment of paternity, duties of institution and cabinet, contents of birth certificate. A certificate of birth for each live birth which occurs in the Commonwealth shall be filed with the state registrar within 5 working days after such birth and shall be registered if it has been completed and filed in accordance with this section and applicable administrative regulations. No certificate shall be held to be complete and correct that does not supply all items of information called for in this section and in KRS 213.051. Will satisfactorily account for their omission except as provided in KRS 199.1703. If a certificate of birth is incomplete, the local registrar shall immediately notify the responsible person and require that person to supply the missing items if that information can be obtained. When a birth occurs in an institution or en route thereto, the person in charge of the institution or that person's designated representative shall obtain the personal data, prepare the certificate, secure the signatures required. And see, they need the signatures. They can't do it without it. And they need that information. That is what makes up the long form birth certificate. And file the certificate as directed in subsection 1 of this section, or as otherwise directed by the state registrar within the required 5 working days. The physician or other person in attendance shall provide the medical information required for the certificate and certify to the fact of birth within 5 working days after the birth. If the physician or other person is in attendance does not certify to the fact of birth within the 5 working day period, the person in charge of the institution shall complete and sign the certificate. So it's going to be done whether you want it done or not. If you're having your child in their facilities, they're going to do it whether you comply or not. You sign their documents when you have your baby in their facility. When a birth occurs in a hospital or en route thereto, a woman who is unmarried, the person in charge of the hospital or that person's designated representative shall immediately before or after the birth of a child, except when the mother or the alleged father is a minor, A, meet with the mother prior to the release from the hospital, B, attempt to ascertain whether the father of the child is available in the hospital, and if so, to meet with him if possible. C, provide written materials and oral, audio, or video materials about paternity. D, provide the unmarried mother and, if possible, the father with the voluntary paternity form necessary to voluntarily establish paternity. E, provide a written and or oral, audio, or video description of the rights and responsibilities, the alternatives to, and the legal consequences of the acknowledging paternity. F, provide written materials and information concerning genetic paternity testing. G, provide an opportunity to speak by telephone or in person with staff who are trained to clarify information and answer questions about paternity establishment. H, if the parents wish to acknowledge paternity, require the voluntary acknowledgement of paternity obtained through the hospital-based program, be signed by both parents, and be authenticated by a notary public. I, upon both the mother's and father's request, help the mother and father in completing the affidavit of paternity form. Now, this document is 4 pages long. You guys, if you want it, you can request it and I'll send it to you. But I read through this just to let you see how these subdivisions of the United States Corporation are able to usurp the rights of the people. They can't do anything without the parents. This is why they're so pressed about getting the parents' signatures and getting the parents' compliance, because that baby is sovereign otherwise. Okay. Let me stop sharing the screen and we're going to go to the slideshow. It's very unfortunate how they usurp the rights of the people, but because you don't know, they're able to do so much. If we were taught how the system was at a young age or during our school years, we would not be in these boats. So, but now, because we are conscious of this, system, it is up to us to remove ourselves and our offspring from the system. So let's get straight into today's presentation. The title is You Don't Own Your Children, the Government Does. I'm going to briefly break down how this happens, just to further paint the picture for you guys so that you can have the full comprehension of the system. Let's go. Before I begin, I'd like to go over this disclaimer. I am not the creator of this information or the system we were born into. I do not own it in any way. I am not a lawyer, legal aid, or attorney. I am a sovereign private woman who has spent several years studying law, and I have learned that we have been tricked and lied to. My intention in sharing this knowledge is to open the eyes of those who seek. This information should be fact-checked prior to execution of anything I share during this presentation or any previous presentations. I suggest you study like I did to gain full comprehension of the world we live in and the lies we've been told. Remember, confidence comes with knowledge, and the more you know, the more you grow. Also, I like to state YouTube, this video is for educational purposes only. Before we begin, please smash the like button. Liking this video notifies YouTube that my content is good enough to share with others. Your engagement is also another way for me to continue sharing this valuable information with you for free. It's a kind way of supporting me and the time I lend to share this information. So please, right now, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, comment below, and share this with somebody you think will find this information valuable. All right, let's go. The system told us that we are parents once we breed offspring into this world. So we call ourselves parents without question. Let's take a look into the word parent. In Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, the definition of parent is the lawful father or the mother of a person, one who procreates, begets, or brings forth offspring. Now, you guys should know by now that the definition, legal definition of the word person is a corporation. So they're telling you right there. We don't have corporations. Humans don't have corporations, okay? Humans are living, breathing spirits inside of a vessel. A corporation is a fictional entity that's created and only exists because of paperwork, okay? So keep that in mind. It's all going to make sense. This is why you need a birth certificate, because they incorporate you. And that birth certificate is your articles of organization, just like if you were to start a corporation. The etymology of the word parent means bringing forth. This all sounds pretty normal and no reason to raise suspicion. However, what are the parents bringing forth, and who are they bringing said thing forth to? Let's dive a bit deeper. Parens patriae is Latin. Parens patriae means parents of the nation or parents of one's country. In law, it refers to public policy of the state to intervene against abusive or neglectful parents, legal guardian, or informal caretakers, and to act as the parent of any child or disabled individual unable to care for themselves. This sounds like it's a helpful thing because let's face it, there are some children who need to be rescued from their parents. But who is in charge of determining that your child or children is being abused or neglected? The schools, hospitals, daycare centers? These are the same institutions you enroll or register your child or children into, which upon enrollment and registration, you waive your rights over the child or children. That means you never truly have custody over your offspring. Okay? You can also say that the word parent breaks down to pair who rents. There is a mom and dad, which makes it a pair. Two people make a pair, and they're renting said offspring in this system. Once the state takes custody of the child or children becomes a ward of the state. That means that the state becomes the legal guardian of the child or children. The parents pater. Currently, because we are classified as dead at sea, minors, no matter your age, incompetent to handle your own affairs until we correct our status, the state and United States government is the parents pater to all of us. That means that the government is the parent of the nation. Ward of the state. A minor who is under the legal custody of a state or a subdivision of the state. So wouldn't that make prisoners wards of state also? Ward of the state. This involves the state taking full custody appointed by the courts to become the guardian of the child or children. The state is responsible for the care of the child or children. Once the state has that responsibility, they place the child in a foster home, group home, or jail. According to USC 20, Section 1401-36A, ward of state, in general, the term ward of state means a child who, as determined by the state where the child resides, is a foster child, is a ward of the state, or is in the custody of a public child welfare agency. A ward, in simple terms, is a person for whom a guardian is appointed. Okay, so this goes for adults. You have adults that are in prison. Their guardian is the warden of the prison. The warden, they are the wards. When a couple procreates and has a child or children in the hospital, they are required to sign contracts before being allowed to deliver their child or children. No one reads those contracts, mainly because people fail to read and because you are asked to sign them during a stressful time. That's on purpose. Those contracts waives many of your rights and also bind you to the hospital's terms and conditions. One of the terms in the contract is that the birth must be registered after the baby is delivered. The hospital has the permission to obtain the birth certificate and register the birth, which means to put the birth on record. What happens in the back end is that the doctor files and places the birth on record as a stillborn, even if the baby is born living. That means that the baby is dead on arrival, which is one of the many reasons why they take the baby's footprint after birth. This is how all United States citizens are considered incompetent, because you are labeled dead. In Admiralty Maritime Jurisdiction, that means you are a dead vessel or lost at sea. And due to that, the birth certificate can be registered with the registrar, and you become incorporated on the day that is listed as the file date on your birth certificate. That is when you become a corporation. Okay? Living people or living entities, living spirits in a human vessel cannot be incorporated. We cannot be a corporation. We cannot give birth to a corporation. And corporations are only given birth to by humans. And the only reason why they exist is because it's on paper. The articles of organization, your birth certificate. Okay? What this means. Now that your child or children has been incorporated, they no longer belong to you. They're a ward of the state. The state is the parents pater. The unfortunate part about all of this is that your child or children can be taken away from you at will. Literally, someone who doesn't like you can anonymously call DCFS and file a complaint, and Child Protective Services can come to your home and take your child or children away from you without conducting an investigation into the claim. Okay? This happens every day. Many parents believe there is nothing they can do when things like this happen, but that cannot be further from the truth. Although you are a United States citizen, you still have unalienable rights that should not be infringed upon. And you're only a United States citizen because you classified yourself as that on paperwork. That means that you have rights given by the Creator that cannot be taken or given or taken away. But if you lack the knowledge of this fact, you will be taken advantage of by the United States corporations and its subsidiaries. Remember, according to legal definition, a United States citizen is someone who resides in Washington, D.C. or works for the federal government. If that doesn't apply to you, you are not technically a United States citizen. The one and only reason why you are classified as such is because you volunteered as such on applications and registrations. But don't worry, what you did can be undone, and it's not permanent. By correcting your status, you can cancel out any and all contracts that you have entered into as a United States citizen. This goes for you and your offspring. That means that you can rescind that classification and notice the corporations of your sovereignty. Before you were issued a birth certificate, you were a sovereign to the land you were born on. If you were born in Florida, you were and technically still are a sovereign to that land. You must cancel the contracts to reclaim your innate sovereignty. A few of those contracts are voter's registration, driver's license or permit, election to pay taxes, marriage license, school enrollment registration, residency, which is a change of address. Canceling these contracts or correcting your status with them will allow you to enjoy the protections of your unalienable rights as sovereign. I hope this information has your mind sparking and wanting to seek more knowledge, because we have rights that we must protect. The government won't do it for us. They will tell us ignorance of the law is no excuse, and truly it's not. If you like this video and you like any of my other videos, please know that I go live every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 7:30 p.m. Central, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to be notified whenever I'm live. The more you engage, the more I will share. If you like how I teach, consider joining my private community. Become a patron at patreon.com/divinetrustbabies or enroll in DTB Academy courses. There are 3 courses. I have a status correction course with every step and example and instructions of how to correct your status properly by canceling out those contracts that I told you about. You can enroll at divine-trust-babies.trainercentralsite.com/course/divine-trust-babies-academy. I have a private banking course that teaches you how to become a private banker so that you can discharge your debts and recoup abandoned funds from those debts. You can enroll there at divine-trust-babies.trainercentralsite.com/course/foreign-trust-creation-debt-discharge. And I also have past study sessions that are with a lot of books and different study sessions that I've already had with my private community that you can watch that are very helpful. And there's a lot of information there that can help you out. You can enroll at that course at divine-trust-babies.trainercentralsite.com/course/study-sessions-replays. Or if you're interested in purchasing any of my content and courses, I have content and courses about child support, discharging debt, the right to travel package. I have a whole lot of stuff that can help you. Status correction. If you're one of those people who just like to buy stuff and do it on your own, you can do that at linktr.ee.com/divinetrustbabies. Thanks for watching. Thank you for extending your time, and I'll see you guys in the next live. Have a good day.